Hello friends, let's start the discussion with what is Git. So as we have repeated many times that Git is a version control system. So before understanding a version control system, let's try to understand what is a version. We have seen books with many versions, many publications, and we always look for the latest books. Those are latest editions, and these are known as versions. So if we understand this in the terms of books, like book was published in 2018 and another publication of that book was published in 2019 and a new edition is coming up in 2020, then we know that this book has 3 revisions or 3 editions or 3 publications or 3 versions. What's the benefit? Benefit is we try to improve the book time to time, and we try to add something into book. We try to correct the things those were bad or not good or not relevant at the current time period, and we release a new edition. Same is the thing with any document like Word document or presentation or an Excel sheet. And we try to keep revisions for the Word documents, for example, that we create. If we don't create the revisions, what's the harm? The harm is, let's think of a scenario that I am creating a Word document and I am trying to modify it. Like for example, this is the Word document open in front of us, and I did modification 1 and modification 2, and then give it back to my friend, and he will improve this document further to do a new modification like this, modification 3 or modification 4, and when he is done, he will return the document to me and I will review it, or somebody else will review it and find that, oh, these fonts are not good, and why this spelling of modification maybe is not good, and we'll try to correct it and maybe add something like modification 5. Yeah, and this is our final Word document that is to be used for some purpose, maybe some presentation or maybe some customer quote or whatever. If the person who is looking at this document wants to know that when this was added or when this was added or who added this, there is no way to know. Maybe some person has added here like 6. Yeah, so clearly he is not following the trend. Everybody is following to write the correct spelling and full abbreviation of modification, but here the person is being smart and using mod 6, which is affecting the integrity of the document. But we don't know if it was not the last modification. We don't know who has done it, and it's very tedious to trace back that who has done it. Yeah, that's why we maintain revisions. Yeah. So this is about the concept of revision. This is known as revision. Now, how to maintain a revision? Again, let's try to understand this concept in terms of Word document before switching to the code and Git and version control system. Let's try to understand it first with the Microsoft Word. As I said, I modified this document and added 2 modifications into it and saved this document into a location known as v1. V is for version, and 1 is I am saying that this is my first version. Somebody gets this document to modify it again and modify his changes. Mod 2, mod 3, and some more data. And then he saves this document as version 2. So if we see it here, we are maintaining the version like this: version 1, version 2, and we also know that who has created these files, because the creator information is already there in the properties of the file, or whoever is emailing the file to you. Yeah, like this. So this is a way of maintaining the versions manually ourselves, and this can be error prone. For example, your system crashes where you are maintaining the version, then all the revisions are lost and you are again in the same situation. This can be beneficial if we are maintaining revisions and keeping the backup of these revisions somewhere else, so in case we lose this data from our local system, we have it. Yeah. So this is one glimpse of how we maintain the revision of Word documents. When we think of code, for example, if I am coding for Java, I created some files, some class files, and maybe some Eclipse or IDEA project, or Microsoft Visual Code project, and created it to a level where it is working fine, and then I don't have time. I need to distribute it to my colleagues and make some improvements. They will make some improvements into it, and then give it back to me, and maybe collaborate with each other in order to complete the project or enhance the project. So if we don't have a version control system like we have here for the Word document, we will be in the same situation again, that who changed the code and when, and maybe another question is why. So to answer these questions, we have a version control system. Similarly, for the Word document, if we want to store this Word document, for example, to a cloud, so what we do, for example, I have OneDrive open here. OneDrive is one of the cloud services provided by Microsoft. And similarly, there is another service provided by Dropbox, that is another cloud service. And if I drag this document to OneDrive, what OneDrive does, it uploads the document to the cloud, as you see it here, and this is a web. It's not my local system, this is web. Similarly, if I drag the same document to Dropbox, same effect. It is also having now a cloud version of this document. Now let's go back and modify this same document with same name. And this time I am not maintaining a revision myself. I am saving the document with the same name, not changing the name at all. And try to drag it here. You see, it's saying that it has uploaded 2 files. Yeah. When I refresh it, there is only 1 file. I will get back to this in a few seconds. Let's do it with OneDrive also. It is asking like there is a document if you want to replace it. So I replace it. Now let's check the document. What's the content of this document? So content is with the new modifications what we have done recently, modification 3 and modification 4. And there is a way to show the revisions. So you see on the cloud, if I keep uploading my document with the same name, it's maintaining the revision. So this was the older revision that we uploaded earlier initially, where there were no modification 3 and modification 4, and this is the current revision where it is maintaining the latest publication, latest revision or latest addition of the document, modification 3 and modification 4. So this is about OneDrive. Let's check on Dropbox what it is doing. If I click on this 3 dots, I see an option of version history. Yeah. So we see that this cloud service is also maintaining the versions as the document is being modified by anyone. And in this case, it was edited 2 times only with one author, that is me. If, for example, you update this document and upload it and you have access to this directory, it will maintain another revision, and I will come to know that who has edited it and at what time. Yeah. Similarly, we have cloud services to put our code. These are the cloud services which are mainly meant for documents, for presentations, for images, and maybe sometimes MP3 files. So these are the cloud services which are very generic. But we as a developer have very specific cloud services. Those take care only about code. That code can be a Java file, a text file, a Python file, or a .NET code, or whatever. But it's about code. It's not about documents. It's not about huge files. It just maintains the code files. And code files are generally not very huge. Not meant to be very huge. Yeah. So likewise, Bitbucket. This is Bitbucket, and GitHub. 2 are the cloud services which are meant for maintaining codes and not documents. Yeah. For the documents and the images and other type of files, as we saw in OneDrive and Dropbox, we know these services as cloud services or cloud storage. For the code, these services are known as repositories, not as cloud services, but as repositories. So now we know the answer about this question. What is repository? Let's check quickly what we do with the code like we do with the Word document. So I am opening here my Visual Studio Code. And I will try to create a new file. And save it to the same location with the name Git concepts. Java. So we can say main we need to make a class file. And inside the class file, we create a method. And here in this method, we just try to print out something. And we save it. I am not here trying to run it or view that it is working fine or not. I am just trying to create a code that is a Java file, and now try to maintain the versions of this code. Yeah. So we see it here, Git concepts. This is the Java file, and as I said, GitHub and Bitbucket, two are the famous repositories that people use nowadays to maintain their code. We will get into detail now one by one. So GitHub is the one of the repository. Like in the OneDrive, we have directories. Yeah, like we have directories, and inside directories we have files. In repositories, we need to maintain set of repositories. So GitHub is a repository provider, and here is my already existing repository, compliance. But I will show you how we can create a new repository. So first of all, you need to register for GitHub if you want to try this exercise. And the registration is very straightforward, and same is the registration with Bitbucket. These two services provide also a free account for personal use, not for commercial use. Yeah. So one by one, we get first into GitHub. We create a new repository here. It will ask for your repository name. Maybe we use the same name, Git concepts, and if this name is available, it will show you a tick box here in green color. So you can make the repository either public or private. In case of private, nobody else will be able to modify or code into your repository unless you provide access to someone. But for this example, I will make this repository as public. It is also providing us a feature to create a README file initially into repository. That is a best practice. We always should do this, but it's up to you. And we say create repository. So we see here that this repository is created, namely Git concepts. And there is one single file which is readme.md file. And readme.md file content is the name of the repository that GitHub has created on its own. We can modify it. That's up to us. Now, similarly to the docx files that we uploaded into OneDrive, we can upload the Java file into our newly created repository here on GitHub using this upload files. So it is saying either drag the files to hold them to your repository or choose your files from the browser. So I will choose the files and drag it here. So this is the file git-concepts.java, and it will also ask for the commit message, that what this file is about maybe. So we can say this is our first file, and commit changes. So we see that now there is git-concepts.java file that is in our repository. Yeah. Similarly, we can do the same thing into Bitbucket. And we create a repository here. Create repository. We use the same name here. And we again making this repository as public. Include a readme file similar to the GitHub option. Yeah. And there are some advanced settings where we can provide the description also. And if you want which language specifically will be used for this repository, yeah. So we create a repository into Bitbucket. Yeah. And similar to the GitHub, we can also upload a file here. And so this was about Git concepts. Specifically, the concept we talked about is what is version and what is version control. Version control is the technique to control the version automatically without the need of making it manually, like version 1, version 2. So OneDrive and Dropbox are maintaining the versions automatically for the documents file, for example. And these services maintain the versions for other file types also. But when we talk about code and we talk amongst developer community, the versions are maintained by Git repositories. So two famous providers of Git repositories are GitHub and Bitbucket. These are cloud-based services on which we can maintain our code and maintain our code's versions and modifications into it. That's why these services are called as version control systems. Apart from cloud-based services, there is also an open source project called as Gitplate. So if we don't want to go with the cloud services, we can install the Git server on our local system also. We can cover this topic in detail, but this is not the agenda of this tutorial. This tutorial was about what is Git and what is version and what is version control. And we will move forward with these concepts to know the other concepts of Git, like what is commit and whatever topics we saw in the table of contents tutorial in this series. If you have missed that video, please try to look back. It is linked into this series. Don't forget to subscribe this if you like it, so that if I create a new video, you will automatically get it. And if you find the video interesting, please press on like. Happy Gitting. Bye-bye.